Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today I want to share with you some of the biggest challenges of being a minimalist and of leading a minimalist lifestyle. I think when a lot of us hear the word minimalist, we think, okay, great, let me simplify my life. That sounds amazing. But what we often don't count on is the process of becoming a minimalist and maintaining a more simple lifestyle has challenges and difficulties that come along with it. It can be hard and it takes work, but the thing is, most things in life that are worth doing require us to really put effort into them. And that's especially true when it comes to minimalism, because in a lot of ways it requires us to retrain our habits and our mindset. So today I want to share with you 5 of the challenges that I've encountered in becoming a minimalist and adopting a minimalist lifestyle. And I'm excited to dive right into this. But if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and let's get right into this. All right, well, let's get started with the first struggle of being a minimalist. And this is something that I really wrestled with when decluttering my life, and to a lesser extent still do sometimes today. And that's learning that you are not your stuff. And when we're in the process of decluttering our lives and letting go, it can be easy to feel like we're giving a part of ourselves away. Often, without even realizing that we're doing it, we'll wrap up our identity in the stuff that we own. And that makes letting go so hard because it feels like we have to give part of ourselves away in order to let go of that item. This happens a lot, especially with sentimental items where we have a specific memory attached to an item, or when it comes to items that we associate with our interests and our passions. So for example, if you're an artist and you have all kinds of different art supplies and you realistically only use a small percentage of them and the rest are realistically clutter, you might experience a lot of difficulty in letting go of the excess art supplies you have because you associate those items with practicing what you're passionate about. But the thing is, it's okay and it's good to get rid of the excess, even when it's related to something that you're passionate about, because by decluttering the excess, we're able to get the full use of the items that we actually have, the things that are actually providing value to us. And at the end of the day, we are not the things that we own. Our memories, our passions are held inside of us, not the physical things around us. And so it can be really challenging to kind of get to that place where we change our mindset around our possessions and view them as just things, not an extension of us. And that's a challenging mindset shift that we need to make, but it's such an important one. Okay, and then the second challenge is such a big one, and that's breaking any impulse spending habits. And this is one that requires a huge change in your habits and a shift towards thoughtfulness and intentionality. Buying things we don't need with money we don't have without even thinking about it is absolutely a cultural norm in our society, and it's something many of us were raised up doing and thus don't even sometimes realize that we're impulse spending all the time. And so when we come to a minimalist lifestyle, we have years worth of bad spending habits that we need to break so that we can then begin to adopt more intentional and just better spending habits. And so to break those habits, we need to become aware of where we're impulse spending or when we're wanting to make an impulse purchase, and to ask ourselves questions like, do I need it? Do I love it? Will I use it? Do I have the money to afford it? To really be critical and ask ourselves questions, and then from there to make informed and intentional purchasing decisions, saying, okay, do I actually want to spend my money on this? Or is this something that I was going to buy without thinking, that I'm going to take home, and then it's then going to maybe used once or twice, but then collect dust and never actually serve a real purpose for me. This is a really big challenge. It doesn't happen overnight, and it realistically requires years of us retraining our brain. But the good news is that by wrestling through this one and working through your mindset, you really can create better spending habits that are going to help you save money and purchase with intentionality. Okay, and then habit number 3 is learning what enough looks like for you. It can be easy to go too far or not far enough when decluttering, because it can take time to figure out exactly what number of possessions or what amount of possessions is comfortable for you and that you personally prefer. Some people love and get a ton of value from the extreme minimalist lifestyle where they have just the essentials and nothing else. Whereas others, like me, want to have only things that they use and love in their homes, but the number of possessions that entails might be more than some of the extreme minimalists of the world. For example, I love artwork and I love plants, and they add a lot of joy to my life, and I feel like they really add personality and character to my space. But an extreme minimalist might not necessarily want to have those items. And so with minimalism, and as we declutter our lives, it's really important that we find that balance of what enough looks like for us, where we're not having clutter and things that aren't adding value to our lives, but we have enough possessions that our homes feel the way we want to feel when we walk into our home, or when we look at our closet, we're inspired and excited by the clothes that we have to wear. For some of us, we might want a bit more variety, and others of us might want less and to just keep things as simple as possible. But it's all about finding that place where you feel comfortable, like you enjoy all of the things that you have without feeling like the stuff you own is overwhelming you. You want your possessions to spark creativity and joy, not stress and anxiety. And the number of possessions that's going to result in us owning is going to be unique to each of us because we're all different. Moving on though, let's talk about number 4, and that's that you need to get good at saying no. And I'll be honest, this one was really hard for me. I am by nature a people pleaser. I like saying yes to everyone, and it breaks my heart a little inside to have to say no to people. But in order to maintain a minimalist lifestyle, this one is absolutely an essential skill we need to acquire. And I'd say there are really 2 main areas where we need to get good at saying no. And the first one is advertising. Advertising is absolutely everywhere, and it's said that the average American is exposed to over 5,000 ads every single day. And like we were talking about earlier with impulse spending, often the result of those ads is that we end up buying things that we don't need and not making intentional decisions with what we're purchasing. And that's not to say advertising is evil. It can be a good thing when it helps us connect with products that are actually going to serve us and provide value to our lives. However, 99.9% of the ads that you're seeing on a daily basis probably aren't that. They aren't things that you actually need, that you're being able to discover, and they're things that'll actually improve or make your life easier. They're just junk that you realistically don't actually need. And so recognizing those ads for what they are and getting good at saying no is such a vital skill to acquire. But then the second area where we need to cultivate our saying no skills is when it comes to friends and family. I don't know about you, but I have some very generous friends and family members who will often ask me if I want to receive something or give me gifts that I don't actually need. And I get it. It can be hard saying no to friends and family members who you know have your best interests at heart. But just like anything that we would go out and buy, we need to be conscious of and intentional about the things that we receive in our life, even as gifts. And so learning to say no in a loving way is definitely a skill worth cultivating. But what I like to do is, if I know a friend or family member is wanting to give me a gift, is I like to steer them in the right direction. And so I'll tell them, if you want to give me a gift that's going to be really meaningful to me and that I'm going to love, try gifting me an experience or a consumable. I love gifts where we get to spend quality time together, or I get to consume some fun food or beverage item. And so this one isn't always strictly about saying no, but it's more about saying no, not this, but perhaps instead this. And what I love is that if you do this well, it isn't something that you continually need to say no to. Now, my friends and family just inherently know, okay, she doesn't really want physical gifts, so let's give her something fun. Let's go on a trip together. Let's have an experience. Let's go out for dinner or coffee or something like that. And those are really meaningful gifts that I love. So definitely this one can be a challenging conversation at first, but there's a huge reward in it too. And then finally, number 5, and this one probably took the longest for me to learn, and that's to learn to live simply while letting other people do their own thing. And this one happens pretty naturally. As we begin experiencing the benefits of minimalism and of simplifying our lives, we get really excited and passionate about it and begin wanting everyone around us to experience the same benefits that we're personally having. And let me tell you, I definitely made this mistake when I first got into minimalism. I was so excited and so passionate, and because of that, tried forcing Christopher to declutter and to simplify his life, and it didn't go well. The thing is, everyone is different. No two of us are the same. And so what brings you value might not actually bring the person next to you value. But on top of that, just because simplifying might add value to their lives doesn't mean it's something that you can force them into. It's something that each one of us needs to decide for ourselves. And so rather than trying to force the people around us to simplify, we're going to be much better off if we give people the space that they need to come to that decision in their own time. Talk about the benefits that you've experienced from simplifying, and I promise you that when the time comes that that person you're wanting to declutter realizes, oh, I've got more stuff than I actually need, they will come to you for advice on how to simplify. It's funny because once I stopped trying to force Christopher to declutter, he started coming to me asking for advice and for help, and today his closet is about 50% smaller than it was kind of before we started walking down this simple living journey. And no, he still wouldn't call himself a minimalist, and that's totally fine, but it is cool to see how my simplifying has encouraged him to do the same. So learning to kind of stay in your own lane and to live by example rather than forcing the people around us to simplify can be difficult, but it definitely is worth it in the long run. It's going to create for better relationships with the people we love. So that's it. Those are some of the biggest challenges that I've experienced along my minimalism journey. And the truth is, it can be hard and it isn't always easy, but it's worth it. But now I want to know, what's the biggest struggle that you've had with minimalism and how did you overcome it? Be sure to comment that down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed today's video and haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button below for more simple and intentional living videos coming at you twice a week. And if you enjoyed today's video, I would love it if you'd hit that like button too. It's something small that you can do, but really helps out my channel. Thank you guys all so much for joining me on this one, though. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one.